This is David Gray, Mandan, North Dakota. Today is August 5th, 2022. This video presents my work on the subject of the North Dakota Anti-Garb Law Initiative of 1948. This paper investigates an incident of anti-Catholicism manifested in North Dakota in the 1940s. On June 29, 1948, North Dakota voters enacted a legislative initiative that prohibited Catholic sisters from wearing religious garb while teaching in public schools in the state. The anti-garb bill was a culmination of a prolonged battle to drive Catholic sisters from public schools. A shortage of qualified teachers and insufficient funding for public school education in many states, including North Dakota, resulted in the hire of qualified teachers to teach in public schools during the first half of the 20th century. Fearing Catholic Church inroads in public education, many communities opposed Catholic sisters teaching in public schools. To prohibit sisters from teaching in public schools, a legislative initiative was devised in North Dakota to prevent the wearing of religious garb that has Catholic nun habits in public schools in the state. Proponents of the anti-garb bill believed the prohibition of habits would drive sisters from the public schools. The anti-garb bill was approved by a slim majority of North Dakota voters in the summer of 1948. Contrary to the expectations of anti-garb proponents, school districts continue to employ sisters as teachers. The teachers simply obtained ecclesiastical permission to shed their habits and wear ordinary dress while working as teachers in public schools. Sisters continue to teach in public schools in North Dakota until the early 1960s. An interesting component of this paper will be examination of arguments and claims of anti-garb proponents, the Protestants, based on the issue of separation of church and state and sectarian influence in public schools. The Protestant Committee for Separation of Church and State, consisting mostly of Protestant clergy from across the state, represented the anti-garb proponents. The Catholic opposition to the anti-garb bill was represented by a Committee for Defense of Civil Rights with lay leadership, but support from the two Catholic bishops of North Dakota. It's interesting to note that this is the only, albeit the best, organized instance of anti-Catholicism in North Dakota history. And incidentally, Catholics comprise about 27% of the population of North Dakota. There are ample primary archival resources on the shelf relating to the North Dakota anti-garb bill at Assumption Abbey in Richardson, North Dakota. I volunteer as an archives consultant at the Assumption Abbey weekly and have full access to the collection. The North Dakota anti-garb bills are the only cache of documentation on the issue readily available to me. So there are legal documents and correspondence files and newspaper articles and pamphlets for both sides for and against the anti-garb law. There are two Catholic dioceses in North Dakota. I did not have an opportunity to visit the archives of the Diocese of Fargo, which is 200 miles away. Archives of the Diocese of Bismarck are unorganized and not available to me. And I cannot locate a similar collection of archival material or anything in print generated by or representing the Protestant Committee for the Separation for Church and State. Other than newspaper articles, I should add, print sources, both books and articles on the North Dakota Anti-Garb Law Initiative, are similarly very limited. Thank you for your time.